So, welcome and thank you so much to everyone who's taking the time today to join us. We're so excited to be here and be hosting this webinar. So for those that don't know me, never met me before, my name is Christina and I'm the product manager here at Sciwheel, and I have with me today Chris.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining.
Chris is our product specialist here at Sciwheel. You may have met him through our demos or even chatting through the customer support team. So for today's webinar, it's going to be based around the basics of Sciwheel, really getting started with us, nailing the core functionalities of reference managing. We'll be showing you around our site, of course, as well as importing and our citation tools. Just a brief note, this webinar is being recorded and we're going to send a copy out finish, of course. And a couple of things, if you don't have the time to stay for the whole webinar, that's perfectly fine. There'll be a survey at the end, so it'd be fantastic if you can leave us some feedback. We're going to be hosting more webinars in the future, so we're always so welcome of your suggestions and comments. So please, it's a very short survey, so it'd be fantastic to see that come in. And yes, let's get started. So, just brief agenda, just a very brief intro of Sciwheel itself. Chris and I will run through a brief demo highlighting the basics of Sciwheel, showing you around. And then Chris will talk a little bit about the different ways you can access Sciwheel, different plans that we have. Sometimes that may be a little bit confusing. We'll share with you the latest news and updates as well. We'll try to leave plenty of time at the end for a Q&A. As we go through the webinar, please feel free to ask your questions in the Zoom Q&A. You should be able to see it on your Zoom toolbar. So just leave your questions there and we'll try to get to it at the end. So for those, this webinar is really for, it's fantastic for those, who want a refresher of Sciwheel, who've perhaps just signed up to Sciwheel or have never even heard of Sciwheel and are curious. So really just a brief introduction from us, what is Sciwheel? Well, we're really on a mission to progress research and discovery. When Sciwheel was first started a few years ago, we focused very much on the core functionalities of reference management, helping our users organize their work and everything. But as we've evolved, we've developed a whole suite of tools to help with the whole research cycle. And we really want Sciwheel to be at the heart of research, like said from the second part, from reference management to with smart citation suggestions to writing, annotating, and team collaboration. We want to provide the single space where we can discover, create, and share knowledge. And hopefully the demo that we'll be running through in a minute will highlight how we've developed to do that. So I'm going to jump straight in. I'm going to hand over you to Chris. He's going to start the demo off.
Perfect. Thanks, Christina. And thanks again, everyone, for joining. Hopefully you'll get something useful out of this webinar. As Christina mentioned, it is just covering the basics. So there are quite a few things I'm going to be glossing over in this demonstration, just so we can cover the absolute essentials of things that you need to know with Sciwheel. So I'm just going to share my screen now. And hopefully you can all see my Sciwheel screen. So when you first register an account for Sciwheel, you'll be taken through some onboarding steps and asked to complete things like a field of study, which are important to generate suggestions for you. I'm just going to gloss over all of that for the purposes of this demo. That's all fairly self-explanatory, and we'll jump right into this references section. So the little tabs we have up the top here are dashboard, references, and feeds. Dashboard and feeds I'm not going to cover for now. We're just going to get stuck straight into this references section, which is the main UI in Sciwheel, where all your work is going to get done. So starting right off, The first thing I'll mention is that Sciwheel is purely a cloud-based platform. So the benefit of that is that you can have access to all of your references, notes, highlights, everything in Sciwheel, no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have an internet connection. So that's kind of essentially how Sciwheel works, purely cloud-based. So very accessible from anywhere with an internet connection. Going through a quick sort of whirlwind tour of the main UI elements. So we have a big import references button here, quite self-explanatory. I won't go through all of these in detail, but this is where you can import PDFs or from other reference managers, Zotero, Mendeley, EndNote, and so forth. You can upload reference files like RIS, BIB, NBIB, all of those. You can import directly by various identifiers, DOI, PMID, etc. You can do a simple keyword search, or you can create a reference yourself manually from scratch. As I said, yeah, I'll not go into detail on all these because they're quite self-explanatory. So going further down on the left-hand side here, we have a section for all references, which, as the name would suggest, is all the references you've imported into Sciwheel. We also have a reading list here, which is quite a handy little way just to kind of section off references. Say that you have a reference you want to read at some point in the future, but you don't have time right now. You can just click this little reading list icon, which adds it to this reading list section. So you can just kind of keep them aside for later. And we have sections for private and shared projects. To create a new private or shared project, just click this little plus button here and type in a name to create your project. I'll demonstrate that a little bit more later. So in practical application terms, projects, we kind of deliberately decided to call them projects rather than folders because that's how they're intended to be used. So in practical terms, say, for example, you're an individual researcher, projects can be used to divide references into specific topics. If you're working on a specific paper, you can have a specific reference, specific project for that paper and all the references in there. As another kind of use case example, say this project here, I am a university lecturer and I can potentially put everything the students need in this one project. So I can upload a course outline, have some recommended reading, and then share that with all my students. So immediately they have everything they need and they can start immediately kind of discussing references and getting conversations happening with kind of all of the information they need for that particular course. For, say, if you're an undergrad student, you can use projects for your different course modules. So for example, here I have a management module and a nursing module. And so that's, yeah, especially for undergrad students, you can really use Sciwheel pretty much for anything, all of your topics. And we also have a shared project section here. The difference between shared and private projects is if you share a project, all of the references, notes, highlights, etc., will be available to everyone who is part of that project. Just going through a kind of basic outline of this main user interface. These are the references that you've imported. You can filter them by various parameters. You can change the number of results shown per page, that kind of thing. Now, if I click on a reference here, this will take you to the reference detail page. There are a whole bunch of things that we can do on this page, but the main thing I'll show you, the main thing you'll probably need it for is editing metadata. So we have a little options icon here with various options for the reference. You can email it. This edit is where you edit the metadata for a reference. You can remove it. You can create a quick citation, which is a really cool little feature, especially if you just need a citation for one single reference to put in like a PowerPoint presentation or something like that. You can just click citation button and choose a style, and it will give you a plain text citation formatted in the chosen style that you can just copy and paste to wherever you need it. So that's quite a handy way of doing things. So going back to the references page now, what I'm going to do is show you practically how a shared project will work. So I'm going to create a shared project and share it with Christina. Then I'm going to show you our browser extension, which is used to import references from the web and highlight and make notes. So I'll show you how that works in a shared project, just to give you an idea of kind of how quick and easy it is to collaborate with Sciwheel. So I'm going to do that now. So I'm working on a project with Christina. The project we're working on is regarding protein folding. So I'm just going to create a protein folding project here. Immediately, this little side panel pops up with a field that you can enter an email to. I'm going to invite Christina to this project. Enter the email, click invite. In a second, I'll hand back over to her and she'll show you how that works from her side. But before we do that, I'm just going to import some references and make some highlights and notes just to show you kind of how quick and easy it is to do that. So I'm just going to move a little Zoom menu so I can access what I need. Okay. So our protein folding project, we need some references to put in there. So I've gone over to PubMed and we're going to do a search on protein folding. Now I'll be using the browser extension for this, so I'll just quickly switch back over here. The browser extension can be installed from our tools menu, which you can see here. The tools menu also has a Word add-in and Google Docs add-on, so all the tools you'll need are in this particular little section here. In my case, I already have the browser extension installed. You'll see it appears just as a little Sciwheel icon up here. If I go back over to PubMed now, you can see that this search result page has returned 10 results on our keyword search. And you can see that the browser extension has immediately detected the 10 references that we can import. So if I click on the icon here, it'll give you a rundown of the titles we can import. You can choose to select all of them in bulk or individually. And select all of them. You can also choose to import to a specific project or to unsorted. In this case, I'll just import directly into the protein folding project I created earlier and just click add. And within 1 second, you can see they've all been imported. And we'll go back to the Sciwheel page now and just update the list. And so you can see here that we have pulled in all of those references. They all have full metadata. So how metadata works when importing is as long as the reference has either DOI or PMID, which most references will nowadays, especially DOI, we can get that metadata from either Crossref or PubMed. In this case, I was searching on PubMed, so these all have a PMID. So we've scoured the PubMed database to get the correct metadata for these references. So you can see they've imported with abstracts and basically everything you need to cite the reference correctly. You'll also notice in some of these cases, you'll see an open PDF button. So when you import references, if we detect that there's an open access PDF available, we will attach that to the reference automatically. And so, yeah, it's a very, very quick and simple way to import references from the web with all the metadata you need to cite the reference properly. So the next thing I'm going to show you is highlighting and annotating. So we're just going to open this PDF here. And the PDF comes up and it's very, very quick and easy to highlight and make notes. This is especially good in shared projects to kind of highlight relevant sections of an article and kind of make a note of it for other people to kind of look at to get a discussion started around the references. So all you need to do is highlight as you would any other way. So let's say I find this particular passage very interesting and I think we should include it, a reference to it at least in the intro of our paper. So you just highlight it, the little icon pops up. And you can choose a color. In shared projects, we have a lot of people that like to have one color per person. So it just gives a quite easy visual cue about which references are made by which person. You can add an optional note. In this case, I think we should reference this in the introduction. So I'm just going to type a little note, include an intro, and save that. So when we go back here, we'll just refresh the page. And you can see that we have our note here. I'm going to hand back over to Christina now, and she'll show you how things work in shared projects from her side and how it looks and how she can collaborate with me.
Perfect, thank you. I'm just sharing my screen. Hopefully you can all see the screen, yes? Okay, I've noticed a couple of questions that have already come through, so I'm gonna try and address some of them, which I think be good time to. But just carrying on with the flow of where Chris has left off. So he has just invited me to a shared project, as you can see. So this is my Sciwheel. As you'll see, this is my dashboard at the moment. Got a big notification with a project invitation. here, these are my projects. So I've decided to dedicate them to more topics. Of course, that's where the flexibility of projects can come in. You can organize by modules at your university, or your readings, or by topics, or by manuscripts that you might be working towards too. And here you'll see some article suggestions. We have an algorithm built in-house which look at kind of your references, what's saved into your projects, and suggests to you some of the most relevant articles that we believe you shouldn't miss at all. We've got some really good feedback about this. So for you, if you're on your Sciwheel account, do start creating projects and start filling them with kind of the references. So as the algorithm works, they'll get better and better. So with the project invitation that Chris has just invited me in, as you can see, I can see on my dashboard that I've been invited. I've got also a little notification bell here. All the members of a shared project will be notified by email as well if they have just been invited. I'm gonna accept. And as soon as you accept, you'll be taken to the shared project. As you can see, we had a question earlier about sub-projects, I believe, and different hierarchies. So at the moment, we only support projects and sub-projects, but we've definitely had feedback about users wanting another level at least, so we can have a sub-project. If that's relevant to you, write us in, and we'll take it into account and hopefully look into developing it really soon. So the more feedback we have from you, the more kind of resources we can to make cases to develop this. So this is a shared project that Chris has just invited me to. As you can see, I can see all the references that he has provided here, all the notes. You can see the PDFs, instant access. What's really useful in kind of shared project is that we can share with each other kind of all the readings and literature we've come across, the notes I'll show you later. We can even kind of see the same suggested articles. So if I'm going through this, or Chris is as well, and we think this is relevant, we can add it directly to the project. And it's just so easy between colleagues to work in this way. We've received feedback. With the shared projects, I can see the activity that's been going on, which is really helpful if I want to kind of flick back into the history, if I ever want to see when was this person invited, when was that note created, etc. Got an activities tab. And so with the notes, I'm able to see at the project level exactly kind of the highlight and annotation that Chris has just done. So he's highlighted this bit. He's also made a little note about including intro. So I'm gonna want to see what this paper's like. So once you click on the highlight from Sciwheel, it will just take you directly to the PDF, and I can see Chris's highlight here, including intro. As Chris really nicely highlighted earlier, we've actually kind of heard use cases where a teacher or staff would share an article for the students to read, and then each student would be dedicated a highlighting color, and each one would kind of make their own notes as well, and say, for example, let's include this in our manuscript. Of course, it could be, the annotations could be from project based, or it could be more of a discussion. What you'll see when you go back to the Sciwheel page, if I refresh, I can see all the notes that have been made in the project. So here you'll see what I've just highlighted, Chris, and Chris's highlight just here. Here I can view all notes. So this has taken me to the specific article page. I can see the notes directly related to this article. And here I can reply any comments that I would like. And exactly kind of this is a great way to stimulate conversation between your colleagues and your friends offline, and maybe something to talk more about when you're in person, your lab meetings and whatnot, for example. So to give this a go. I remember reading a question also while I'm on the Sciwheel site about the browser extension. So as I mentioned earlier, you know, when Sciwheel, we've kind of expanded to develop a suite of tools that includes our browser extension and our citation tools, which I'm going to move on to. The browser extension does say Chrome extension for the time being. That's because we recognize that I'm on the Chrome browser, but actually our browser extension is available on all other major browsers, so Safari, Firefox, Edge, and Chrome. So feel free to use those browsers if that's what you're used to, and our extension will be available there. And a few more couple of other things. So you'll notice this big blue button at the corner here. So one of the things that Sciwheel, we're really happy and pleased with supporting with is to provide our users really good customer support. Chris is actually on our customer support team, and he's fantastic alongside with Rob in providing kind of in-person troubleshooting for our users. So even if it's the smallest of issues that you're seeing to kind of the slightly bigger problems with citation styles, manuscripts, really just like reach out to us and they'll be able to help you as best as they can, of course. It's something that we're really kind of proud to have. Chris and Rob are doing a fantastic job. And I know we won't be saying this, so give them a big shout out. So that's our customer support team. And then if I go back to my reference page, I'm just going to close this. One of the other things that Sciwheel was able to do, so you can organize your references by project, sub-project levels. One of the things you can also do is by tags. Tags have a lot of flexibility. You can really create a shared tag. So this tag would be visible to Chris and I because we're part of the project. So I can have a tag such as include in manuscript, choose in purple. Once you're done, just simply click enter. And what's really quite nice is that, as you'll see, these are my private tags. Now I've got a shared tag specifically for protein folding. So when I have the project opened and I want to see the papers that I've decided to include in the manuscript, I can just simply click this tab on the left here, tag, not tab, tag on the left, and it will show me the references here. If I go back to my references, so for all references, I can start tagging away if I really wanted to, and just simply drag and drop all of these. And again, at a later date, I'll be able to filter them by tags. I hope that's been clear. I've addressed some questions and answered some questions, but please do keep them coming in. As mentioned, we're going to leave some time at the end. So now I'm going to show you a little bit on one of our different tools, our citation tools. So again, here, any user can just click here and they'll see a Word add-in and a Google Docs add-on. So hopefully that's made clear that we support both Microsoft Word and Google Docs. The add-ins here work very similarly together, which hopefully, once you're familiar with one, you can easily switch to the other, which hopefully is helpful for you. So I'm just going to, my Zoom bar's also, so I'm going to go, hopefully you can see Microsoft Word, my manuscript that Chris and I are working on, protein folding. So for those who don't have the add-in installed, we've got a quick video. You can do this, show you how you can do this. But briefly, once you're on Word, find the insert button at the top, click on add-ins. If you click on store here and search for Sciwheel, which I have here, and you can click add. And once done, it will, oh, where did it go? Here we go. Our Sciwheel add-in will be loaded into Microsoft Word. You'll be prompt. Oh, change. Okay. So these are the functionalities that are made available to you in our add-in. Once you click on any of these buttons, you'll probably be prompted to sign in first. Once that's done, you can see on the side panel all the references that I have. You'll be able to filter again by project, by tag, or a sort by. So, or you can of course just search for the keywords of the reference that you're looking for. You can cite straight away. So for our shared project, I'm going to find protein folding here. And you'll see kind of exactly the same Sciwheel site. I don't have to flick that. I can see immediately in Word the references that we've kind of imported to our shared projects. So for example, I'm gonna need to add some citations to our document. So I know some of these citations need citing. So here you can see citations created. For now, I'm ready to format this. I want to see what the bibliography will look like in the citation style. So I can go here, and there we go. So we're going to submit to Brain journal. We support over 7,000 different citation styles. Hopefully, you'll see what you need. If you can't, within this kind of list, simply just scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll see more styles. And there you can search for the style you're looking for. Again, if there's a style that you need but you can't find, again, reach out to our customer support team. They'll be, they know the citation styles inside out. They can recommend to you which ones might be very similar, or they can also create a custom style for you. So just reach out to them. So I'm happy with the Brain. So I'm going to update citations and bibliography. And I've chosen to have my bibliography inserted at the end of the document. And here, hopefully you can all see that it's formatted correctly, as well as the citations here. I'm going to actually pass you back to Chris. He's going to show you how it works quite nicely when everyone's in a shared project together with the same references and working towards the same manuscripts, how easy it can be to format citations and bibliography. So over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Christina. I shall just share my screen again. I'm going to backtrack a tiny bit and show you the website first for one little feature that I would love to show you. So while Christina's been busy working away on her manuscript, I've been working on the referencing part. And one thing I would like to highlight is this suggestions feature here. So remember earlier when I imported these references, as soon as they were imported, our clever little suggestions algorithm started doing its thing. Now, how that works is the algorithm will basically, it will read the keywords, the abstract, titles, authors. It will scan all of that stuff and query the PubMed, Crossref, and Microsoft Academic databases to return relevant suggestions for us, which you can find in the Suggestions tab here. So while Christina's been busy working on the document, I've been kind of trying to add more references to the project that I think are relevant. So you can see immediately there's a whole bunch of references that the algorithm has found and suggested to us. You can kind of scroll through them, you can read the full text, and the algorithm is trainable as well, which basically means the more you interact with it, the kind of smarter it gets and the more relevant it gets. So depending on whether you add or dismiss references from here, that will further train the algorithm to give you even more relevant suggestions. So we can just add things and you can choose projects to add to. I'm going to add this one to protein folding. So that's one very, very handy way that you can save a lot of time having to sort of trawl through journals and stuff. So you can just simply come to the suggestions section and immediately see kind of very relevant references that you might want to include in your paper, or at least kind of discuss with your collaborators. Yep, so that was the last thing on the website that I wanted to show you. So now I'm ready to switch back over to Word, which I will do in a second. So let's switch back over to Word now, and we can see the document that Christina has been working on. Just got some nice little citations in there. Now, for this particular citation, Peckman 2020, we need to add a page number to the citation. And I'll show you how you can do that easily. I mean, this is more relevant for people working kind of in the humanities, social sciences, where you're using mostly the author date style of citation. If you need to add a page number, just put your cursor inside the citation, and you can see immediately that the two references that have been cited here, they appear down here, and you can just expand these gray bars. And for example, the page number you can put in the suffix field. So for example, let's pretend we know exactly the page we want. So for this particular reference, we're citing something from page 22. So I'm just going to put P22 in here, and you can see in the preview that that updates. And then just click Update Citation. And you can see immediately that that page 22 has been added to the citation, and that will remain part of the citation even after you kind of reformat. Another thing I would like to show you, let's just collapse these, is if you remember how Christina created a shared tag in Sciwheel before, you can filter by tag as well. So for example, just to make things quicker and easier, I can go straight to this include in manuscript tag, and that will bring up the references that we previously discussed would be perfect for this reference, for this paper rather. So yeah, another very easy kind of time-saving method. The next thing I would love to show you is a brand new feature that we have in our Word add-in, which is find citation marks. Now this one we included specifically at user request. So we discovered that especially in the early stages of writing papers, rather than having to kind of trawl through your whole reference list, on the go, people like to just put a simple keyword in. And the way that we can do that is by using curly brackets like this, and you can put a keyword, a DOI, a PMID. This is also really handy if you're working offline. As I mentioned before, Sciwheel is cloud-based, but if you're working on a Word document offline, you can just put sort of keywords for things that you want to properly cite in curly brackets. So let's just put DNA in there as an easy example. And so then when I'm back online, I can click this Find Citation Marks button, click Find Citation Marks, and it will scan the text inside the curly brackets here and return suggestions that are relevant. And you can choose to search in your own reference library, or you can search PubMed or faculty opinions. In this case, I know that this is the exact reference I wanted to cite. All I need to do is click Cite, and it will replace those citation marks with the actual citation. So that saves people a lot of time, especially if they're traveling and they don't have kind of access to their online library. They can just kind of very quickly insert keywords, PMIDs, DOIs, etc., into those curly brackets. And when they're back online, just run through that Find Citation Marks feature and insert all the citations. The final thing I'd like to show you with the Word plugin is a Smart Citations feature. Now, if you remember, just before we switched over to Word, I was showing you article suggestions in the website. This Smart Citations feature uses very similar algorithms, so it will scan either a selected portion of text or kind of the paragraph preceding the cursor for keywords and return accurate and relevant suggestions for you. So in practical terms, say, I know I need a citation for this particular paragraph, but I'm not sure exactly which one I need. I can just put the cursor here, hit that Smart Citations button here, click Get Smart Citations, and it will scan this paragraph and return relevant suggestions. You can see immediately that they're all kind of protein folding related, so we know that the algorithm is doing its job rather nicely. You can expand the abstract of these, and just to make sure that this is the thing you want to cite. So I've checked this out, and I figured this is the perfect thing I need to back up this paragraph. So all I need to do is click Cite. One tiny other thing I'd like to show you before I hand back over to Christina is the project notes feature. Now, if you remember, we've made some kind of notes and highlights in our project in the site. You can actually bring these straight into Word. So if I click our little sort of extra menu here, go to Project References and Notes, we choose our protein folding project. It will bring up the notes and highlights that we've made. Now, this is especially useful in kind of the early stages of writing a manuscript when you're just trying to kind of hash out ideas and have discussions around things. So all of the highlights and notes we've made are available in the add-in, and we can even insert them into the manuscript. So if I click insert, it includes the text of the note I've written plus the highlighted section and a citation at the end. So this is a really good way of sort of further refining your ideas and getting the right citations and everything into your paper. And that's it for the word plugin. I think now I've got a little bit of time, I might run through some of the Sciwheel access options. So I will hand back over to Christina's screen and she'll share the PowerPoint.
Here you go.
Perfect. Okay, so the first thing I'll mention is that we'll have all of this information available in a kind of handout. So I'm not going to spend too much time on these because we want to kind of get to the Q&As. So I'll just run through these very, very briefly. So for accessing Sciwheel, the two free options we have are, of course, the 30-day trial, and then there's a free basic subscription. So with the 30-day trial, you get up to 3 projects. This doesn't include sub-projects or shared projects, which practically means that even if you've hit your 3-project limit, you can still create sub-projects and you can accept other people's shared projects. So it just applies to projects you create yourself. With this option, you can also have up to 3 invitations per shared project, and you get access to the browser extension, you get access to the Word and Google Docs tools and the mobile app, and all of the premium features, smart citations, article suggestions, and PDF uploads from cloud storage solutions, so Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive. Now, the difference between this and our free basic subscription, which you will be placed on automatically, either after the 30-day trial, after your 30 days expires, you'll be placed on this free basic subscription, or if an institutional or personal subscription lapses, you'll be placed on this free basic subscription. So what that essentially means is you'll never be locked out of your account completely. You'll always retain access to everything that was already in your account. So you'll never lose access to the project's references, highlights, and notes that you've already made. So the basic difference between this one is the project limit and invite limit is the same. You still get access to the extensions and tools, but what you don't get with this is the premium access to faculty opinions and the article suggestions and smart citation suggestions. And you also can't upload PDFs from Google Drive, Dropbox, and OneDrive. So those are the basic differences between those two. I'll just chat a little bit about institutional subscriptions now. So the way we verify institutional subscriptions is via IP, which means to activate your institutional subscription, you need to log into Sciwheel either physically while you're on campus, so we detect the campus network, or if your institution provides a proxy or VPN, you can connect via that, log into Sciwheel, and that should give you the institutional subscription as well. One thing that I would like to point out is that your Sciwheel account is personal to you. So you can take that with you if you leave an institution. How it works, so the account, i.e. your reference library, and the institution, the subscription are separate things. So you sign up for account, you create your account, and then given that the criteria are satisfied, the institutional subscription will be applied to that account. So when you leave an institution, you can take everything with you, apart from kind of institutional shared projects that you probably would have been removed from prior to you leaving the institution. If you move to an institution that also has a subscription with us, it's very easy. As soon as you verify via the IP verification I mentioned before, then that subscription, the new subscription, will be applied automatically to that account. If the subscription you move to does not have a the institution you move to doesn't have a subscription with us, then you'll be placed on our free basic plan, which I mentioned before. So just to reassure you, no matter what happens, you're never going to lose access to the references, projects, notes, highlights, all of that stuff that you've spent so much time working on. You'll still have access to everything you already had in your account. We do also have personal subscriptions, which I'm going to cover very, very briefly. Either monthly payment via PayPal, or you can set up a yearly subscription, which you can pay via credit, debit card, or backs. Yep, you get up to 250 projects. This includes sub-projects, and you can invite up to 400 members per shared project and full access to all of Sciwheel and faculty opinions, tools, and features. Again, if you cancel a subscription, you're not going to be locked out of your account. You still get access to everything you already have. yeah, if you're paying by PayPal, you just need to go onto the PayPal site, cancel the payments, and that cancels the subscription. In the case of annual subscriptions, these are non-refundable, but in either case, yeah, you'll just be put on our basic plan and you'll still have access to everything you already had before. And that's it from me. I think I'll hand back over to Christina now for a bit of a wrap up.
Thanks, Chris. Hopefully that's made a bit clearer for all of you, understanding kind of the different ways you can access Sciwheel. As Chris mentioned, we'll provide like a brief handout around this. And if you ever have any doubts on whether your institution has a subscription with us, or what the proxy link might be to access Sciwheel from your subscribing institutions, feel free to reach out to us again. We'll be able to provide more information, or even to your librarian, who can probably help you too. So before going towards the Q&A, I just have a very short bit about kind of some of the latest news and updates that we've had from our side. So hopefully you'll see with our Sciwheel Word add-in some of the features that Chris demoed. So our find citation marks, the ability to have kind of a one-click switch from a parathetical to a narrative in-text citations. This was part of the latest version of the add-in that we released this week. If you already had the add-in installed, you should be prompted by Word to update this. If not, you can go via the store again, get add-in again. If you have any trouble again, reach out to us. In terms of what we're working on right now, and that's upcoming, we're going to be focusing on improving the importing system that we have on our Sciwheel site. So Chris showed kind of the variety of options that you can have when you import references to our site. We just want to make things a little bit simpler and easier, hopefully, for you. So keep your eyes open, and we'll announce hopefully the release very soon. So I know questions have been coming in. Really appreciate all of your time that you spent joining us today. Is really much appreciated. If you have any questions about subscriptions, please feel free to email the info@sciwheel.com. Of course, our contact details are also here at the bottom. If you're not following our social media channels, we're on Twitter and LinkedIn. That's where we post some of the latest updates, blogs, some pro tips videos too. So do follow us and check it out. And that is about it. And again, if you are able to fill out the survey before you go, that'd be fantastic. I'd love to hear what you think of our webinar so far. So I'm gonna just run through some questions and answer. Hopefully we can answer them and provide a demo if needed. Okay, so I'm going to go through the Q&A section, which some I can see have already been answered. Thank you, Chris. So can you only invite other people who have Sciwheel accounts to join a project? Can you invite those with basic and subscription accounts? Great question, and something we have a lot coming in. Chris, do you want to talk through that since you kind of covered that part?
Yeah, certainly. So the short answer to that question is yes. So they'll need a Sciwheel account to join a project. And the subscription status is irrespective in this case. So yeah, you can absolutely invite people with a basic account and paid subscription. So no matter what your subscription status is, you can invite people. And as I mentioned before, so even if, say, I'm on a basic account, I can only create 3 projects, but if you invite me to a project, I can accept that and interact and do everything you would normally do. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to limit anyone who's not on a subscription or anything, hopefully help you collaborate with more people. I hope that answers your question. So the next one we have, okay, it's more of a comment. Unfortunately, our institution has blocked the add-in for security concerns. It's fairly limiting useful. I'm really sorry to hear that, if that's happening at your institution. We have come across certain institutions who have block the Microsoft ad install. That is correct. If that is the case, no, really do reach out to us, because we've been working with quite a number of different institutions where that is the case. We've talked directly with the institutions, IT and security departments, and in most cases, the add-in's been successfully kind of granted for you to use. So if that is the case, definitely want to emphasize that. And so just reach out to us. We can see how we can help and really, not limit you the usefulness of the product, of course. I hope that's answered your question as well. I missed how you added the manuscript to the shared project. Could you quickly demo again? Of course. I'm just going to read through quickly if there's any other demoing. How can I note summary in Word, not the HUD, just notes that I have taken. Okay. So how do you add manuscript to shared project, and how can you just insert? How can I just insert annotation, notes, or summary, not the highlighted part, just the notes? Okay. So I'm going to switch to my other screen. Okay, hopefully you can all see this. Is that right? Yeah, okay, brilliant. So the way the kind of shared projects work and the Word document, they're not necessarily linked. It's a little bit different on Microsoft Word and Google Docs. But how this works is that, and I hope this is clear to you, Chris, jump in, of course. So, for example, I have a Microsoft Word document that I started and I've shared it with Chris. This is independent of linking it to the Sciwheel shared project itself. What we have done in this scenario is that when I have my document and I've got the add-in open, sorry, I just want to move the screen. Okay, so what happens is that when I'm insert citation, I will filter by our shared project that we created and insert citations as we work together. Now, what is really useful, hopefully, in the shared project sense is that if all the members are in the shared project and we're all working on this document together, what becomes very useful is that each of us can format the citations and bibliography with very little problems happening, as opposed to, because all our references are at the same place, it just means that the formatting becomes much smoother and you won't hit any problems. That's one side of the question. And the other question was about inserting just notes without highlights. So at the moment, this isn't currently possible, but I would definitely be open to hearing your feedback as to maybe why you would want this feature in. At the moment, you would just be able to go through a shared project and insert everything together with the highlighted annotation for now. Chris, do you have any comments that I might have missed?
Not with the highlighting. With the previous question, Celine, I assume you're kind of talking about adding a manuscript to a shared project in a similar way to how you used to be able to do it with the older Word plugin and with our Google Docs add-on. With this new add-in currently, it's not possible to do that, but it's absolutely something we'll be looking into. It's functionality we'd very much like to include. For now, you can connect to your project via the project references and notes, as Christina just demonstrated, but it's currently not possible to upload the manuscript itself to Sciwheel. So all of the sharing is done via Word and OneDrive or whatever kind of cloud solution you're working with. Yeah.
Yeah, do let us know if that is not what you meant, of course, we could try and clarify that. I'm going to jump onto some more questions coming in, which is great. Please do keep it coming in. If I'm using Sciwheel alone, who should we reach out to? Who should we reach out to coordinate with our security team? Thank you. This must be related to the blocked ad install. So what we would normally suggest is if you have a contact, so of course, each institution have their own way of working with the IT and security teams. If you do know, if you have a direct contact email address that you're able to share with us, just share with us, and we can kind of start a conversation with them and go from there. As I mentioned, different institutions have slightly different processes, but if you have a contact detail, share with us and we can go from there. And I think, that would be a really good start. Okay, so and then I did see, Irina, I don't know if you're still on the call, so I have a question about case and statute citation according to Blue Book citation. I'm not sure. I think I might need a little bit more information, unless Chris, you.
I can jump in a little bit there. The short answer to that question is yes, we do have Blue Book style, and we do have kind of legal reference types that you can use. The long answer to the question is legal citations are very complicated, so I can't guarantee it will be absolutely perfect. Please feel free to give it a shot, and if you have any suggestions for how we can improve it, let us know. But yes, so there we have a couple of varieties of Blue Book style available, and we have a couple of different legal reference types that you can use as well. So hopefully they will do the job, but please feel free to give it a try. And if there are any problems, let us know. Thanks.
It was just a perfect demonstration, as I mentioned previously, how Chris and our customer support team knows every style in the book. Okay, I'm going to move on to the chat because I have some questions there. Does the institutional access work with our catalogue? Blue Book, I think that Blue Book, please. I think that might be a similar question as well. I think with the catalogue, I think I might need a bit more information. I'm not sure whether you mean with browser extension. So if you want to leave a message, please feel free to. Hi, Christina. Chris, I've reached my number of private projects. Are you thinking of having unlimited number of projects? Yes, definitely. Celine, thank you for that comment. It'd be fantastic to hear. Maybe we can catch up one day later. Why you would need a number of private projects, how are you organizing it, and what might really the limit of projects be. But it's definitely something's cropped up quite a few times, so I'm really glad you raised this. Thank you. And then several questions, just checking the time. Okay, several questions. If you had a PDF that you shared with a group project, would your older annotations be included? Okay, Chris, do you want to jump in on that one?
I can jump in on that one. Yes, is the answer to that. So if you have a reference that's just in a private project and you make some highlights and notes, and you then share that project or place that same reference into a shared project, then all of the highlights and notes that you've made will be shared. We do have an option to create a sort of manual note, which you can specify as either private or shared. I might just quickly share my screen and show you how that works. Bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so back into our Sciwheel project. So let's say, for example, this reference in a shared project, I would like to make a note that's only visible to me. This won't work with the browser extension. So if you're using the browser extension to highlight or make notes, they will automatically be shared. However, you can go to this Notes tab here and leave a manual note. And you'll see here there's a little share checkbox. So you can specify whether these are private or shared. If you don't check that box, then only you will be able to see that note. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. How are recommended articles identified? Does the system have a function to update metadata on an existing reference? For example, when EPUB ahead of print is eventually published, want to limit it? Okay, it's clear. So do we have a system? How are recommended articles identified? So what we do, we'll kind of look through the references that are in your projects, and our algorithm looks at these references as well as kind of the different databases that we also refer to. This includes kind of more life sciences database, including PubMed, for example, as well as kind of books as well, Library Congress. So we kind of look at the different databases and within the algorithm provide to you hopefully really helpful suggestions. I hope that answers your question. And then does the system have a function to update metadata on an existing reference? Chris deals with our metadata.
Yes, it does. Is the short,
exactly.
short answer to that question. Yeah. The longer answer is I can show you that quickly again. I'll just share my screen again and show you how you can do that. So, okay, back onto, this is the article detail page. If you need to update the metadata of a reference, you just click this little options icon here and click edit. Now in this edit kind of window, there's sort of a manual option where you can go in and manually do things. Or you can use identifiers that I mentioned previously, so DOI, PMID, or PMCID. You can just type that in directly, click find, and it will scour all of our databases for that identifier. And so you can update directly. So this is handy sometimes if you upload a PDF and we don't detect the identifier in the PDF, but you know what it is. Then you can just use this to very quickly insert a DOI or PMID or PMCID and click find and then update, and it will automatically update all of the metadata. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. I think we only probably have unfortunately, room for one more, but all of these questions we'll try to get back to the individual users in our emails. And if we don't answer any of them, again, just write to us, myself, Chris, or the customer support team. And then just to finish off as part of this, what are the limitations on sharing PDFs in a project?
Limitations on sharing PDFs in a project. There aren't any really. So at the moment, in terms of PDF uploads, the only restriction we place is that individual PDFs can't be larger than 100 megabytes. So long as all your PDFs are under 100 megabytes individually, you can upload as many as you need to. And in terms of being in a shared project, anything you add to the shared project will be accessible to everyone. So, yeah.
So that wraps it up. It's going to come to 5 p.m. and the webinar's going to end soon. So I just want to take this opportunity again. Thank you so much all for your time. I hope you found this helpful. Leave us comments, suggestions, feedback. We're so open to it and we're so happy to have you all here. It's really lovely to see you all. We will send you a recording of this and hopefully try to get back to all of your questions. But if we don't, or if you need an answer soon, just message us straight away and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. So thank you all so much. And I'm sorry we couldn't get to all of the questions, but yeah.
We will try and answer those, and I'm kind of be doing customer support for the next few hours at least anyway. So yeah, I'll try and get around to all of your questions then.
Thank you all so much and have a wonderful rest of your day and weeks. And we hope to see you again in our next webinars. So bye-bye for now.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for joining.
Thank you.